Hello everybody and welcome to another review. Today I'm going to quickly talk about Paper Beast. This was a game that took me by surprise. I wasn't initially going to review it because I just got it in a humble VR bundle from a long time ago and I was more interested in the other games in said bundle, but I recently decided to play it on a whim, and after I was done I thought that this was exactly the type of game that I'd like to talk about since it just oozes uniqueness. Let's get into it. The premise is very mysterious. It opens with you in a very cyberspace-looking room using something called a quasar computer to simulate the collapse of dying stars. While doing this, however, something goes wrong and you're plunged into a world created by data. While initially seeming peaceful, it's clear that something in this world isn't right. The clouds form strings of numbers, unknown forces tear holes in the world, pumping in data that turns into killing sludge that wreaks havoc on the ecosystems of this strange world. But besides that, the story is very abstract and, well, artsy, I guess. I didn't really get into it, to be honest, and needed to look up some more info about the game to really get any sense of what the developer was going for. I'll just leave it at that and let you decide what you think about it. The game is only about 3 hours long, so you're playing it more for the puzzles and the experience rather than the story, in my opinion. What really steals the show here are the creatures that inhabit the little ecosystems of the world. The body language for some of the more intelligent ones is really well done and does a good job of conveying meaning and emotion even in a completely alien looking creature. The otherworldly design of these animals also adds to the strange atmosphere of the game a lot. As the name of the game implies, a lot of them look like paper, kind of folded like origami or made of glass or even bone. The main creature that follows you throughout the game really reminded me of one of those Strand Beast wind-powered walkers, and I just thought it was really interesting. The environments themselves are also really alien, and despite some of the textures often lacking fidelity up close, the style in which it was designed just feels like another world with these various types of tendrils all over the place, weird plants, and seemingly impossible rock formations. All of this, combined with the ethereal music and excellent sound design, create a very dreamlike atmosphere. It's mostly calm and surreal, but there were even a few parts that were somewhat creepy. Not bad, but just unnerving. And that's not a bad thing. I really liked it. When it comes to gameplay, this is a puzzle game and it opts for very minimal controls. You mainly interact with the world using your main hand to grab objects and move them around. It works very similarly to the physics gun from Gary's mod, but in VR.
Wow!
It snaps onto animals and objects and just allows you to move them closer or farther away or just fling them around. I had quite a bit of fun at first just ragdolling these creatures all over the place. Paper Beast doesn't hold your hand at all. Besides telling you about the controls at the beginning, you really have to observe everything around you to solve the puzzles. Every creature has a unique purpose and behaviors. Some roll sand into balls, like dung beetles, some function like pipes that you can use to pump sand around, some dig up areas to allow water to flow, and a lot more that I don't want to spoil. Solving the puzzles involves figuring out what the creatures do and what you can use in the environment to manipulate them, be it objects or other creatures. For example, by moving this glowing jellyfish fungus thingy, I can change where these cave crabs move sand to, creating a slope for me to exit the area. I liked how the puzzles weren't actually that complicated to the point where they would be a hassle, yet because they don't follow typical puzzle game conventions and rely on experimentation in this wacky ecosystem, they still have a good amount of challenge. It really instills a sense of discovery in you. There is also a Sandbox Mode where you can build your own little level, adjusting the sand, weather, and water levels. By playing the main story and finding collectibles, you unlock various flora, fauna, and items from the levels to play around with in here. It's kind of cool, but honestly, not really my thing. I'm sure some of the more artistic of you could put this to good use, but I got bored of it pretty quickly. I did think it was cool though how you could change your size just by moving your arms, going from walking among the creatures to towering above them like a chess player, seamlessly with a few movements. This is something that could honestly make a great core mechanic of another VR puzzle game. I played this on the Quest 2 in linked mode because my HP Windows Mixed Reality headset broke and I used the opportunity to upgrade. Rest in peace, brave soldier. Anyway, my PC specs are in the description if you're interested in what hardware I was running this on. Overall, despite my PC being on the lower end for VR, the game still ran and looked great. With recording, there were some slight drops in frame rate and smoothness, but outside of recording, everything was good. The VR settings are also pretty good, with the option to switch between just having a teleport and having teleport plus stick movement, as well as being able to adjust the speed and type of rotation movement between continuous and snapping. This game also has a folded edition, which I don't really see often in VR games, which is basically a normal desktop game. I've booted it up and played for a little bit, and it pretty much just seems to be the same, just with controls that make it work for a desktop experience. Your progress is also synced between the two versions, which is nice. The only issue I've had with it is that when you grab something, it like separates your virtual hand from your head and you just kind of wave it around within the current view. It's hard to describe, but you'll see it on screen now. You can still move, but most games would just have the center reticle control the grabbing and then have it trail behind based on your movement, like the Gmod physics gun. Overall, I think if you like puzzle games and you're looking for a unique VR experience, or if you just like to interpret art, try out Paper Beast. It's a very interesting adventure that includes some pretty cool mechanics and great visuals. The only criticism I have of it is that it probably doesn't have that much replay value, since once you know all the puzzles, unless you just want to go in and mess around with the animals again or have someone you want to show VR to, you won't really have much reason to come back. It's only around 3 hours long, which some people might consider too short for $19. However, I thought this was a good amount of time, because if it had gone on too longer, I feel like it would have started to overstay its welcome, and it would have needed to introduce a lot more mechanics to stay fresh at that point. And if the price is a sticking point to you, you can always just put this one on your wish list and wait for a sale. If I didn't get this in a bundle, I probably would have done that. Anyway, that wraps things up for this review. Like if you enjoyed the video, dislike if you didn't, and if you want to see more of this content, you know what to do.